So, my neighbor and I do not see eye to eye on much of anything, especially politics and religion. But we share a backyard fence and a front yard tree, so we try to be cordial with each other. At least I do. On Friday, my neighbor asked what I was going to be preaching about today. And I said, my sermon is about where we can place our trust in an unstable world. His eyes gleamed, and I knew he was about to zap me. That's a no-brainer, he said as he opened his wallet and handed me a dollar bill. Read it, he exclaimed, and then paused and waited for me to do so. In God we trust, I replied, reading the words on the back of the dollar bill. He smiled a victorious smile. Case closed, he said, and he walked away. But at least I got to keep the dollar bill. In God we trust. In a lot of the world's religions, that is a core foundation to rest upon in an unstable world. Trust God, God will guide you. I think of those well-known words from the Jewish scriptures, Psalm 23 to be exact. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. Or, from a more modern translation, because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow grass and leads me beside the quiet streams. He gives me new strength. Even when walking through the valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, guarding, guiding all the way. You are close beside me, guarding, guiding all the way. Now, for some of us, those words might speak deep spiritual truth. In God, we do trust, and that brings great comfort and solidity to our lives. But as Unitarian Universalists who welcome and honor a wide variety of spiritual beliefs, we know that there's others of us for whom a belief in God just doesn't resonate. We find meaning in life without a divine power. One of the most liberating and energizing aspects of Unitarian Universalism is that we are each invited to pursue a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, which means our spiritual beliefs may be different for each of us, and those beliefs often change over time. That begs the question, where do we place our trust in an unstable world? Where do we place our trust in an unstable world? I truly believe that this is one of the great and key religious questions in life. I believe it's a question that each one of us must answer for ourselves. Where do I place my trust in an unstable world? Where do you place your trust in an unstable world? But if this is one of the key religious questions in life, it seems that we need to do more than answer that question individually. It seems that we, as Unitarian Universalists, should also be able to collectively answer that question, because we are more than individuals. We are individuals who are creating beloved community together. But how do we answer that question when we believe differently from each other? In what do we trust? In an unstable world, what do we have faith in? Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Robert Walsh writes, "When the great plates slip and the earth shivers and the flaw is seen to lie in what you trusted most, look not to more solidity, to weighty slabs of concrete poured, or strength of cantilevered beam to save the fractured order. Trust more the tensile strands of love that bend and stretch to hold you in the web of life that's often torn but always healing." There's your strength. The shifting plates, the restive earth, your precious life, they all proceed from love, the ground on which we walk together. Love, the ground on which we walk together. Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto echoes this saying in words that we've been quoting a lot lately. "We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone." Could we say that together, please? We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. As Unitarian Universalists, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared principles and values. In other words, as Unitarian Universalists, in love we trust. In love we trust. Yeah, amen. Let me hear an amen. So, I mentioned this concept, in love we trust, to a colleague who serves as a minister in a faith tradition very different from ours. And they kind of poo-pooed it, saying, love is a byproduct of God, but God is the source of love. What is the source of love for Unitarian Universalists? I explained that for Unitarian Universalists, the source of love is less important than the result of that love. The source of love is less important than the outcome created by love. For Unitarian Universalists, inclusion is what love looks like in community, and justice is what love looks like in public. Could you say that with me? Let's say that together. Inclusion is what love looks like in community, and justice is what love looks like in public. Inclusion is how we build beloved community here in our congregation, between us. And justice is how we build beloved community out there in the world. As he's wont to do, my colleague pushed back at me. saying that the source of love is what is stable and solid. It is something you can grab onto, he said. It will carry you through. If you're only reaching for the result or the outcome of love, my colleague said, you are left grasping at something fragile, fleeting, human, and elusive, something ethereal. Maybe so. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to reach for that. In a beautiful essay entitled Faith and Belief, Reverend Jackie Clement writes, last summer, my husband John and I were canoeing in New Hampshire. At the end of the trip around the lake, I climbed out of the canoe first and had 1 foot in the lake and 1 foot in the canoe. That's when things went wrong. While taking my foot out of the canoe, I caught my heel on the edge. Losing my balance, I instinctively reached for the most solid thing within my grasp, the canoe. There are times when grabbing onto what appears most solid and stable is exactly the wrong thing to do. When I resurfaced, I saw my husband sitting in 1.5 feet of water, fishing for his glasses on the lake bottom. In my attempt to save myself, I took an innocent bystander down as well. Jackie Clement continues, I tell this story not to demonstrate my lack of boating expertise, but to say that I understand the emotional impetus to try to grab onto what seems most stable and solid when the world is tipping us off our feet. In religious terms, we might say we are driven to hold ever more tightly to our beliefs when we are under stress. Jackie Clement writes, like grabbing a canoe for safety, depending on belief to keep us from going under, is to grasp at the wrong thing. It's not our belief that we need to hold on to, but our faith. Though the two are often taken to mean the same thing, there is a subtle and critical difference. She writes, faith is a deeply seated confidence, vital to our very existence. Faith is a deeply seated confidence. Belief is only what we think is true, though we wouldn't stake our lives on it. Faith, she says, leaves room for mystery. Belief does not. As Albert Einstein wrote in his personal credo, the most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mysterious. Jackie Clement concludes saying, sometimes what seems the most solid and stable is only an illusion of stability. Things that appear more ethereal, that may seem to be the toughest to grasp, are in fact the most stable and secure. Love and community may seem to be intangible ideals, but if nurtured, they can serve as the very bedrock of our lives. Would you say that last part with me? Love and community may seem to be intangible ideals, but if nurtured, they can serve as the very bedrock of our lives. As I said in a sermon last month, I think it's a profound spiritual act to put love at the center of a community. I think it's a profound spiritual act to put love at the center of this church community. To do so means we must together embody that love. And the spiritual teachings from the world's religions are clear what that love must look like. The Buddhist scriptures teach love is the bridge that connects hearts. Speak with kindness. Choose love over hate, for love brings peace. Islam teaches that Allah is full of loving kindness and that Allah passes that attribute onto the humanity that He created. And we must pass that loving kindness onto others through the way we treat each other. The Christian scriptures tell us famously that love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not act rudely or selfishly. Love does not count up offenses. Love takes no pleasure in injustice, but rejoices with the truth. Love always, always, always protects. So say the Christian scriptures. Chad Snyder writes, love speaks to the real pain in the world. Love knows. It knows hate and fear, selfishness, greed, bullet and blade, the cutting edge of indifference. Love knows, and love does not let us turn away. Love is loud. Love clamors. It shouts down and fires up. Love does not suffer the suffering of others in silence, but resonates in silent space held for another's story. Love is the spirit of this, our church, if we choose it, give it voice. And if we make that choice, then love will guide us. In love we trust. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.